Most people interact with artificial intelligence by typing a single question into a chat window and waiting for a text reply. Treating this technology strictly as a single-use Q&A app is like using a multi-million-dollar supercomputer exclusively as a desktop calculator. You get an answer, but you ignore the machine's actual potential. Gemini operates as a much broader machine learning engine. Google designed it to recognize complex patterns across massive datasets, and then inject that pattern recognition directly into the workflows you already use. The core capability here is multimodality. Instead of only reading words, the engine natively processes combinations of text, imagery, audio, video, and code, all at the same time. To understand how this actually works, we have to drop the chatbot framing entirely and look at the three specific layers of scale where this engine operates. The foundational layer starts with the everyday consumer. For most individuals, the primary hurdle in any project is the paralysis of the blank page. Because the system is multimodal, you can upload a dense PDF or a complex photograph and ask the AI to synthesize that raw visual data into a structured written outline. Students use this to break difficult academic topics down into clear study guides. Content creators use it to turn a single long video into a dozen cross-platform post outlines. At this tier, the engine acts as a catalyst. It provides a workable first draft that lowers the friction of starting, rather than acting as a definitive final authority on the subject. Scaling up to the business tier inside Google Workspace, the core problem shifts. Employees lose hours of their day simply hunting for scattered information across old documents, spreadsheets, and endless email threads. Consider a small web design agency. Every time a new lead asks for a quote, the team spends an average of 95 minutes manually digging through discovery notes and old pricing sheets just to piece together a first draft. The solution is feeding the engine a restricted folder of approved source files. By providing a strict template, recent client notes, and a current pricing guide, the system builds a draft from verified data rather than guessing. But you have to constrain the output. You do this through a strict prompt formula, locking in 5 exact parameters: the role, the task, the context, the format, and the tone. This chart shows the quantitative impact of that workflow. By replacing the manual drafting stage with constrained AI synthesis, the agency collapses a 95-minute task into a 28-minute review process. In this specific agency workflow, those efficiencies translate to nearly 7 hours of recovered drafting time every week, positioning the engine as an infrastructural layer that handles the mechanical task of data retrieval. The highest layer of scale is the foundational level, where developers access the underlying models directly through the Gemini API and Google AI Studio. This introduces a critical engineering feature that separates advanced AI from basic bots: long context windows. This feature allows the model to analyze massive, complex inputs, like entire software code bases or hundreds of pages of meeting transcripts all at once, without forgetting the information it read at the beginning of the prompt. Developers then match the specific model to the task. They select a heavy-duty model like Pro when the application requires maximum reasoning power, or a lighter model like Flash when the priority is high-speed execution. At the API level, these models provide raw, configurable scaffolding for building novel software architectures. Yet across all 3 tiers of this ecosystem, the ecosystem's core limitation remains identical. The machine operates entirely on pattern recognition. It possesses zero actual comprehension. This creates hallucinations. Because the system's only mandate is to confidently autocomplete patterns, an unconstrained prompt will cause it to invent delivery timelines, discount packages, or even legal facts. Treating the output as a final, publishable product carries severe cascading risks, especially if the communication involves binding financial, medical, or legal decisions. This makes the human in the loop absolutely mandatory. Verifying facts and instructing the system to explicitly highlight missing data is a strict requirement for every workflow. You manage these limitations by treating the engine as a high-speed power tool. It requires strict operational boundaries, requires constant iteration, and firm correction when it strays. The technology provides immense speed and multimodal synthesis, but human judgment remains the absolute, irreducible core of the process.